Have you ever thought you were preparing for something? Oh my God. Only to have life completely change your plans. Yeah, that was me. I thought giving birth to my second daughter would be the end of my battle with endometriosis. That was my thought when I had my first daughter, and that did not happen. So I was like, okay, maybe after the second one, that will be the end. But after my daughter arrived, I spent a total of 22 days in and out of the hospital. 8 hours of surgery, 3 admission, infection, bowel obstruction. That was a lot. Hello, beautiful people. Thank you so much for joining me again on Live Blow. I am Joanne Oyedokun. If you're new here, welcome. Here we talk about real issue that real women are dealing with. So sit back and come along with me as I tell you about my journey after delivery. So like I said, I had 8 hours of surgery, 3 admissions, infection and bowel obstruction. But through it all, God sustained me as usual. This is my story, and maybe it's yours too. Whether you've been through a complicated delivery like I had, or struggling with endometriosis like I have too, or just fighting your way through healing, you're not alone. And like I've always said on this channel, you're not alone. Millions and thousands of other women are dealing with the same issue. At 6 weeks before my due date, so that makes me like, I think I was 31, 32 thereabout. The doctor gave me a news that changed my entire plan, changed everything I've been planning on. I wasn't fully prepared. I hadn't packed my bag. I had not mentally settled into delivery mode. You know how you start preparing your mind, the last few weeks and everything. But the MRI that I did confirmed that I had something called placenta acreta. It was a serious condition, especially for the stage that I am in my pregnancy. So when we got the result, all the doctor said to me was, go home, pack your bag, you're having this baby early. Oh my God. And it was going to be through C-section. So you know what? We came home, I rushed, packed my bag, try to put something together for the people that are going to be at home. And then we went back, we checked into the hospital. The delivery happened, and by God's grace, my beautiful baby girl came out. She was strong, she was healthy, she was okay. But the fight wasn't over, because after they took out the baby, that was when I started fighting for my life. I was on the operating table for another 8 hours after they brought out the baby. And when I finally woke up in the ICU, my body was exhausted. Even my entire medical team were exhausted because they've been in the operating room with me all day. My daughter was fine, and she was here. So that was a light that I held on to. We named her in the hospital because I was still recovering. I was still in the ICU. I was in the ICU for I think 6 days. After 8 days, I finally got discharged, and I was so happy. I thought the storm had passed. Going home felt like a victory for me, but I had no idea another battle was waiting for me. Barely 5 days at home with all the gadgets that I brought home, NG tube, catheter and all that, IV lines. I started running high fever, and because my husband is in the medical field, he started taking care of me, making sure I was hydrated, giving me Tylenol and everything. My temperature wasn't coming down, so he had to call the hospital, and I was told to come in. I was readmitted, and after I was readmitted and they ran some tests, confirmed that I had infection, and the infection now caused me to start having elevated blood pressure, which I usually don't have. By God's grace, I have always had a very good high blood pressure rate. This was another battle that I did not see coming, and unfortunately I had to go back. The day I went back was my birthday. Everybody was calling me, texting me. I could not pick up the phone until they readmitted me into the hospital. I cried because my body was so exhausted. As a matter of fact, that day my husband had to come back home because he was the one taking care of the baby at that point. And so at night I told him, I said, you know what, we can't sleep in the hospital with the baby. It's better you go back home. But by the time he left, I busted out crying. That why am I here? I've had my baby for 10 days plus now. I couldn't even hold the baby. I couldn't take care of my baby. Why am I here again? And I was running temperature. I was shivering in the hospital. Actually, that night, my pastor had to come in because I had spoken to him earlier, and he had me crying and everything. So he came over and he was like, okay, don't worry, I will stay here since your husband had gone home. And thank God he came, because I didn't even want him to come, but he came. And in the middle of the night, around 1 a.m., I was already under 4 blankets. Temperature was still running high, and I was feeling very feverish. I was shaking. At a point, I was shaking the bed that I was shaking. Pastor had to hold me, and he kept praying. And I was just saying, Holy Spirit, Holy Spirit, Holy Spirit. Thank God Pastor was with me that night. I didn't know what would have happened. But eventually, leaving the hospital after readmission felt like a win again. But the victory was short-lived, because I was back within a week again for the 3rd time. Just 5 days later, I started throwing up, constantly throwing up. Could not hold anything down. Anything, whether water, juice, food, whatever it was, I could not hold anything down. And then I started becoming so weak and weak. And again, my wonderful and incredible husband swift into action and started doing all kinds of things, but couldn't get it done. So eventually I had to call the hospital. I went back and a test was run, and it confirmed that I had bowel obstruction. Oh my God. So they readmitted me. Bear in mind, at this time, I was still fighting the infection. So now I'm dealing with 2 things: infection and bowel obstruction. By now, I wasn't even seeing the light at the end of the tunnel anymore. But I knew I had one thing left in me, which was my anchor. At this point, I could not pray. I could not do anything. I was just worshiping. I wasn't even sure what I was doing. I wasn't sure I was going to feel normal again. But in those moments of weakness, I worship. Every morning, I will play a song and I will just be worshiping. Sometimes with tears, sometimes silently, sometimes just lying down there, just worshiping, music playing into my ears, because I could not even speak. I was so confused of what was going on. But that was my strength. That was my therapy. That was my way of fighting back that worship. I was just worshiping. And it was truly empowering. You can't see endometriosis pain. It's not something that you can see. And this is the part that people don't understand about endometriosis a lot of time when we complain about the pain. Because endometriosis pain is not just pain that happens during your menstrual period. This pain affects your whole body. It affects your recovery, your immune system. It affects you postpartum when you deliver and you're trying to recover, filled with unexpected battles that you can't even mention. You don't know how it will come, when it will come. But today I am here, grateful, full of gratitude for healing. And I want you to know that that can be you. And that's why I always say on this channel, if you're going through any storm, know for sure that you're not alone. If you're just in the middle of the storm, know this, you're not alone. Whether you're battling post-delivery complication or struggling through the silent pain of endometriosis or even other medical condition, trust and believe there's hope for you. Please hear me when I say this. Your body is not broken, and don't allow your spirit to be broken. Your story is not over yet, because God is the writer of our story and He's just beginning to write the story. God sustained me and He can sustain you too. Let's stand in faith for each other. That is why I come on here every week to share my story, because I want you to know out there that if God can do it for me, it's a reminder that He can do it for you. So I want to encourage you, no matter how tough the storm is that you're going through, be encouraged. No matter how tough the struggles are, the storm is, I want you to be encouraged. Sometimes it will be so hard that you cannot even open your mouth to pray. That was what happened to me. When I was going in and out of the hospital, I didn't have the strength to pray. I didn't have the strength to even read the Bible. But guess what? The only strength that I had in me was just to worship. It was just to worship, and I kept worshiping. I kept worshiping God. When I wake up in the middle of the night on that hospital bed and I look around and tears start dropping, all I just do is worship. And there's one song that has, very, very strong in my heart. And that song was, "All my life you have been faithful." Oh my God. I sang that song. All my life you have been faithful. I might not see you, but I see the works of your hands. And indeed, it was faithful. I held on to that song. I played all through. When the doctors come into my room, that's all they hear. When nurses come, when the techs come, that's all they hear. Because I didn't have the strength. I didn't even know what to be praying about at that point. Was it to be praying about healing or to be praying about attack of the enemy? I didn't know what to be praying about. Or to be praying that I should not lose my mind, because I was getting to a point that I was almost losing my mind. I'm not going to lie to you. I told my husband, I said, I am getting to a point that I'm losing my mind. I am tired of the four walls of this room, this hospital room. But God was faithful. Remember those words that He gave me in the bathroom before when I was pregnant? The keeper of life, the giver of life, the sustainer of life. And He stood, held on to those words. So I challenge you today, if you're going through any storm, if you're going through any challenge, and you don't have the strength to pray, as they will always encourage us to pray as a strong person, if you're not there, worship. Worship Him. While you're crying, worship Him. While you're thinking, worship Him. While you're murmuring, worship Him. And trust me, it will come true. It came true for me, even though after I was discharged the third time, I came back home with an IV line. I was still being treated for the infection, but God carried me through it. God kept me through it. God sustained me through it. And this is why I'm sitting out here today sharing my story. And I want to encourage you to keep holding on, and trust me, it will come true. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye. God.